Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christian with PerfectStockAlert.com, a 100% free service for smart investors and traders. All we ask in return, please refer a friend. Today is Wednesday, December the 5th, 2012. Looking at some U.S. markets today, starting off looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We were actually stopped out of our short position right here with our stop. We were stopped out today. The price activity, we saw a massive move by the Dow Jones Industrial Average to the upside. I believe that started because of the actual activity we saw in China. It's a massive move there. And I was actually surprised to see that continue here in the U.S. with the ADP numbers. I was kind of surprised by that. But in any event, it did happen, and so I wanted to show you what I'm looking at and why it can be interpreted different ways. So I just wanted you guys to know all the information that's out there. Right now, we've got this overall downtrend. That's an important piece of the puzzle because that tells you which side to trade on. As long as that's the case and you're getting shooting stars, you want to keep taking those trades. In this case, we were stopped out. It's not the first time we've been stopped out before. Situation actually, we see the Dow Jones Industrial sell off anyway. So it doesn't, just because you're stopped doesn't necessarily mean that the actual call is wrong. So that's important to note. And again, the trend is still, in this current situation, still down. So we have no reason, and just because we're stopped out doesn't mean we get all bullish all of a sudden. However, in this scenario, and the reason why I believe you were stopped out of the Dow Jones Industrial Average versus the others is because the Dow Jones is the one that was the furthest away from this 50-period moving average. So we can still see a little more move to the upside here. This is where you typically find resistance in a downtrend, that 50-period moving average, like you did back here. So you still have room there. You get to advance up here, and then bounce off that wouldn't be a big shock to me. We may get short again at a later point in time. I'm not doing it at this moment, but I am looking at it still. Again, this overall situation here can be read different ways. The way I'm looking at it, we simply had a counter trend bounce up here, and then we're rolling over. The closer we get to the fiscal cliff, the faster we'll start to push lower, assuming that we don't actually get some kind of a deal. So that's what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing that on many different charts. If you look at gold, if you look at silver, if you look at oil, if you look at the other charts I'm going to show you in a moment, you're going to see this pattern developing again and again. Now, this is my interpretation of what's going on. There's another way to read this, and this would be like this, that you would be in this overall downtrend until you're not, which means at some point in time the trend would change, and then you have to see a series of higher highs and higher lows. Right now we're not seeing that, but it could be stated that you did this move here being the first leg, and now you are consolidating at the 200-period moving average here, and eventually you're going to break out like this, and you will duplicate this first leg as a second leg. So you would have this like that, okay? That would give you a series of higher highs. That's a good argument because you have seen that basically happen already with European market averages and even Australia's market we showed you yesterday. They didn't consolidate here, but they did just advance up here and take out the previous high. So that's an important little piece of the puzzle that someone could argue that's what's going to happen, and I really couldn't argue against them. But that's why we have stop loss limits in place. A quick glance here at the NASDAQ, you can see a very clearly defined rolling over topping formation happening here. And again, we did not take out the previous high. That's where our stop is set on. So we're just watching this guy move up here and then roll over, and we're just going to keep playing this game until eventually we are either stopped out or we see this continue to go lower and fill these lower gaps that we have here and here. A lot's going to depend on the news that we talked about when this is heading into this time period. When you have the fiscal cliff and politicians, no one can tell you what's really going to happen. There's no telling with politicians. So we're just watching the price activity, noticing it is bouncing off the 50-period moving average. And again, note the direction or the way that the 50-period moving average is pointing. It's pointing down. It's not a bullish scenario. When it's pointing up, you're typically in an uptrend. When it's rolling over, you're typically rolling over. When it's pointing down, you're typically in a downtrend. Quick glance here at the Russell 2000 Small Cap Index. Same overall story. Overall trend is down. Lower series of highs, lower series of lows. We have no argument here in anything other than just being a counter trend bounce that came up to test the previous high, has yet thus far failed to break out. Ergo, we look at this as a short opportunity. We come up here and rolling over at the 50-period moving average. That's normal. Everything looks perfectly fine to me. If we do break out and I get stopped out, well, so be it. But right now, all I can do is trade the chart, and the chart is clearly in downtrend. You want to be looking for short opportunities in that scenario. If you've not been to the free website at PerfectStockAlert.com, it's right here. It's 100% free, and all we ask in return, please refer a friend. Also, I'd like to remind you guys that my personal charts are on the home page now, and I have actually issued an alert on one of those charts as of today that I hadn't had as of yesterday, so check that out. There's also, for those of you guys who are looking at the markets as being more of a consolidation period before second up leg, like I was showing you on that chart. There's a long trade opportunity on the trade section here of the website. I put out one every single day, and there is a long one in there today on alongside for bulls. Also, the books are available now. The bookstore is there. There's no markup on that. It's just books that I recommend you read, and you can check them out right there. God bless, take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Please take a moment to review our disclaimer. The information provided herein is our opinion only. Under no circumstances do any statements here represent a recommendation to buy or sell securities or make any kind of an investment. You are responsible for your own due diligence. To summarize, we do not provide investment advice, nor do we make any claims or promises that any information here will lead to a profit, loss, or any other result. These videos are for educational purposes only.